Right.
And hello, everybody. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition
This
of
is his
Conversations
number.
with IB. And I have with me today Ifeoma Ifejika. Ifeoma is founder of the Sickle Cell Interactive and Management Association. She's a 54-year-old, yes, she doesn't look a day that age, sickle cell warrior. And she has had to deal not just with sickle cell, but with working with others who are dealing with sickle cell. Ifeoma is one of my guests for today's show. The second guest, who will be joining us in just a short while, is Professor Bazuaye. Ifeoma founded the Sickle Cell Interactive and Management Association in 2005 and has spent a lot of time since then educating people about sickle cell and working with those who are dealing with the condition. My dear guests, friends, and fans of IB, Conversations with IB, please welcome Ifeoma Ifejika. Ifeoma, you're welcome to the program today.
Thank you, Bim. Thank you
Good
for
to
having
have
me.
you. Good to have you. So tell me a little about your sickle cell work. I mean, at what age did you sit down and look at this and say, this is going to be what I'm dealing with for all of my life? When did it kind of hit you? When did the thunderbolt hit you?
The thunderbolt hit me at age 9 when I had my first crisis in secondary school, but the full impact didn't really hit me until I entered university
Mm-hmm.
when I had to fight the urge not to be perceived as special or weak or different. I struggled to fit in and I paid dearly for it, enjoy all the activities like others. And after a while, the pressure got to me and I started being aggressive, but people termed it as moody, but I had a lot of things to demons I was fighting, demons, quote unquote, I was fighting inside and
Yeah.
couldn't bring myself to share with others. And it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy, but I'm so glad in retrospect now I could have handled things a bit differently. But then when you're living it, it's difficult to actually rationalize a few things and be normal.
You know, people look at sickle cell and they're like, why are people making such a big deal about it? Yes, 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 someone has sickle cell. Yes, they go through some pain, but they're still doing well. They look beautiful. Their life is normal. Why is anybody trying to make it look like it's an abnormal kind of thing? You know, that's what people say. That's what people see on the outside. They see beautiful people. They see people who are able to live their day to day lives. What is the challenge of being a person dealing with sickle cell?
Um, there's a saying that goes, all that glitters isn't gold.
Hmm.
While some people might look at me and think the work of sickle cell is quite an easy one, there are other people that have more more challenges that are visible, that are physical. That doesn't mean I don't have my own challenges, but I've tried to rise above it with a positive attitude and, of course, prayer and put up a smile every time. Like from the age of 9, I've lived with a constant pain on my legs every day of my life. Some nights are worse, and but I've learned to live with it. I come out with a smile and I move on. There's been a lot of complications. Even it's so bad that the psychological impact of it is almost as bad as the physical manifestations or the medical aspect of it. It's like about a week ago, I got a call from a friend, and he was like, "Oh, please talk to this, my friend. He's AS, and he wants to marry. He's betrothed to somebody that is AS, and they want to get married. That he's been telling the guy he shouldn't, and now had to call me to speak to the guy." So he went all out to explain to me how they've been to a fertility clinic. They told them about this or that. He knows everything about sickle cell. He's well versed in it. But there are medical ways of overcoming it now. Like they have to do artificial insemination, know the genotype status of the egg or sperm or whatever, and know which one, either that or the woman will take in, and after like 3-4 months they'll be able to determine if the child has the SS genes and then abort the baby or the fetus. So I now told him two things. I said, number one, you're trying to play God, decide on which child lives and which child dies. But that's the moral aspect of it. Secondly, if doctors advise that one should not test the genotype of a child under 6 months because of the rate of inaccuracy of that result, based on the fact that the fetal hemoglobin the child is born with is still much in the child's body, and there's a tendency that the reading might be wrong. How come you want to test a 3-4 month old fetus and believe that there won't be that margin of error? You understand? This is a fetus. We're talking
Yes.
of a newborn baby that is 6 months old. You're advised to test the genotype of that child after the 6th month based on this fetal hemoglobin. So he was like, oh, he understands what I'm saying. Anyway, he'll take my number and call me. I said, look, even if you need to come for a one-on-one meeting, I'm available. Collect my number and call me. I haven't heard from him, but I'll definitely give him a call. This was just last week. I know it's
People say they're
difficult
in
for
love.
people to
I mean,
deal with.
yeah, you fall in love with
Yes,
somebody.
that's
The
I
first thing you're
understand
thinking
that.
about
I
is not their genotype. You're in
yes,
love with
I
this person.
understand that. I understand that. In my case, my own instance, it wasn't love that made my parents to get married, because my uncle, I never met him, he died at 14 from sickle cell disorder. So my mom knew about it. They got tested, but got a wrong lab result. Now, judging from my own situation and how in my adult life I had to hide my crisis from my dad because of how bad he felt, I wouldn't advise anybody to, because of love, go ahead and do it. Because there's always that guilt. There will always be that guilt. When you see your child in pain, you'll be like, I could have avoided this. There's
Yeah.
something I could have done to avoid this, what is happening to my child. It happened to my dad up until when he died. May God rest his soul. My dad, I'll tell my family, please, I'm on admission, but I'll say, tell my dad I traveled until after the third, fourth day, if the admission lasts that long, when I'm looking a bit better. But even then, you still see my dad. As you walk into that hospital room, you see him age like 10 years. Every day, he will ask me, did you put your feet on? Let me see your legs. Are they swollen? Are they this? Are they that? It's not something, I know it's difficult. It's not easy. But in the long run, it
Yes.
might even have wear and tear on that love. It might. The
Wow.
possibility is there. Yes.
Okay, so but here's the thing, Ifeoma, and help us understand this. Now, someone is already dealing with sickle cell, and for those of us who
Yes.
are friends and family, what is running through your mind is, I want to go into this loved person's mind. I want to be there. I want to help them, and there's nothing you can do. You feel completely helpless. How can we help? What is this journey like? I know that we can't even begin to ask you to describe the pain. So when there is a crisis, what can we do?
People with sickle cell disorder are prone to be close mouthed. And that is because we detest pity. There's a difference. I've come to realize there's a huge margin between pity and concern. that pity is quite demoralizing, but the concern is quite encouraging. So you see, it's good to show concern, it's good to show care, it's okay. But when it comes down to the hey, yeah, kind of attitude, we just clam up. Because by nature, by virtue of the disorder, we already feel different. We already feel a bit handicapped. So going that pity kind of route actually magnifies it and brings back a lot of memories that one would like to drown. So if you're close to somebody that has sickle cell disorder and there's pain going on, just try and ask the person what can be done to make the pain less, if the person needs something extra. But most of all, just show some care without crossing that borderline into pity. That's about what I can say about it. That's the
That's
psychological aspect
wow.
of it. Yes.
And that's something that the person who is watching is unable to know how to do, because you really don't know when you cross those fine lines from concern to pity.
Yes, it's very difficult. Yes.
But let
Yes.
me understand
It's
this.
it takes conscious effort.
Mhm. I happen to be AS, and here is my very crazy story. So I get married without asking my husband his blood group. Then I'm pregnant for our first child. By the way, I
It's
was a health
genotype.
report. Yeah, so I was a health reporter, so I knew everything about genotype
Oh.
testing, but I didn't care. So I now get married and I'm pregnant with our first child. I say, hey, by the way, what's your blood? What's your genotype? I'm asking when I'm pregnant. I'm
Oh
pregnant
boy.
and I'm asking this question after getting
Yes.
pregnant. I was lucky he's AA, so that I was lucky. I was just lucky. But
Yes.
here is
Yes.
one
Yes.
instance when I walked in, jumped in with both my feet before I even stopped to think. And that's the point. So
Yeah.
this is the work you're trying to do at Schema. You're trying to get people to
Exactly.
think before
Exactly.
they take the jump. But however,
Exactly.
part of what, and this I know is going to be a very harrowing experience for you, and forgive me for taking you down this path.
Good. No,
But
that's
someone who
okay.
is watching is going to say, you know what? I want to tell me what is the average day like for the person who's dealing with sickle cell disorder and who then
Yeah.
has a crisis. What is that day like?
Well, the average day of somebody, a sickle cell warrior, let me use that term warrior because we're always fighting something.
Hmm.
The average day is quite uncertain. You can never tell when the pain will start knocking on your door. You can wake up and that's it. I'll tell you briefly about an experience. We were in a polo club meeting years back. I was there in a friend's house, And next thing, one of us got up and was going to the kitchen. And I said, please get me some water. I said, Ifeoma, please get up and get the water yourself. Then something made him turn back. I said, Ifeoma, are you crying? I said, yes, get me water. I'm in pain. I need to take my medicine. It just started like that. Quite embarrassing. Very embarrassing. And I had to excuse myself after taking the painkiller to go home. There I was, hail hurting, nothing happening. I wasn't feeling cold. I didn't expose my body, nothing. But the pain just came suddenly and it moved from 0 to 8 within 15 minutes. So all the while they were talking, I was busy praying, God, let this one not be serious. Let this one not be serious. And it kept increasing. And I'm like, oh no, no, this is a big one. You understand? It's just like that. You can be in the middle of anything, but it doesn't stop me from doing what I have to do. If it comes, it comes. I won't say, oh, the pain might come, so let me lie in bed and cover myself and not do anything. It will come and meet you there. And then you wake up after 5, 6 years and find out that your life has passed you by. So you just have to carry on. It's not easy. It's not a good way of life, but it's something that we've learned to deal with. And from experience, I've learned how to handle it most of the time.
Now,
It's not every time that I feel ill.
now, one of the things that happens is that for every sickle cell warrior, you're dealing with pain and you're taking
Always.
painkillers that are crazy. And sometimes, isn't that addictive? How do you deal with pain and addiction?
A lot of sickles, well, not a lot. By margin, I'll say quite a few of sickle cell warriors are addicted to painkillers. And I'm not ashamed to say it, I have been too. But my own case is different. It was the hospital that gave me an overdose of pethidine, which is a very highly addictive injection, you know. And it's almost 30 years that I had that addiction and fought it. But I tell you, till today, I still have the urge sometimes. So I need to use this medium to advise people. If you know anybody that is addicted on painkillers and you feel you've done everything you can to win the person off it, don't ever give up if the person slips into it again. Don't ever give up, because it's a continuous fight, it's a continuous struggle. It just doesn't end. I used to be on my own. I used to be addicted to Novalgine. I'll just get up just in case the pain comes. Let me take Novalgine. That was my excuse until I now fell ill. I found out that the Novalgine injection didn't even take the pain away for up to 10 minutes, which means I'd abused it. So they had to upgrade. It took me a while to come down to taking paracetamol now when I feel the pain coming up. But before, I wouldn't even, paracetamol, I'll spit it in your face. I wouldn't even try it. But sometimes it helps. I take the paracetamol, I drink lots of water, I try and rest, of course, and I pray. I just lie down, keep warm, and pray. Sometimes I use the hot water bottle on the area that the pain is coming from. It takes a while before I call the doctor to say, hey, I think it's time. Oh. Either I'm coming over or you come over and give me something strong to help me sleep. If it continues after that, then I go for admission. That's
What
about the
about,
average life.
yeah, but people have said that pain can be so bad it messes with your mind. Do you have situation where people dealing with sickle cell, how do warriors cope with mental health? Is there any provision? What happens with the mental health of warriors?
The pain is such that can be, I don't know how to describe it, but it's something that can cripple you if you dwell on it after the crisis. So in my own case, I think I naturally developed a mental block. Like if you ask me how terrible is the pain afterwards, I can try to describe it as much as I mean I'm able to. But with the next crisis, I'll be like, oh my goodness, I've actually forgotten how painful this can be. That's how bad it is. It is that bad. A doctor once said, oh, on an average, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you describe your pain? I said, sometimes the pain gets up to 15.
Wow.
And he laughed. I said, no, it's not a laughing. How he said, how can I judge? I feel the pain. So I know the intensity of the pain I'm feeling. Sometimes 1 to 10 is above that 10. Most of the time, not sometimes. It's difficult to imagine, but during our awareness campaign, we have a director of our NGO, Dr. Obi Obinna, and so many other volunteers. It is we cannot emphasize enough on the need for genotype screening, for a couple to do everything possible not to bring one child into this world with sickle cell anemia. That's just my honest advice. I cannot, there's nothing, I might be close-minded, but you guys forgive me. I'm talking from experience. There's nothing that justifies a couple coming up to say, I know I'm AS, he is AS, but I need to go ahead and marry this guy because I can't live without him. It is not the penalty, the result of that is something that they should consider and be a bit I don't know, just think about it. Think very deeply about the union.
Okay, so some of the things you've been doing, Ifeoma, is trying to raise awareness on genotype testing, providing support to people who are to warriors who are living with this disorder and things like that. Why
Yeah.
did you start Schema in 2005? Why did you think it necessary to start Schema?
I started Schema as a result of my own experiences and from stories from people that I spoke to. You understand? I actually, that was when I started my journey to self-awareness and self-healing, because I used to be down there in the pity party group. I used to pity myself and feel like the world was over. I've even prayed for God to take my life during one crisis that was horrible. I'm not proud of it, but at that time I felt that was the best. Well, as an aside, I'm glad God didn't answer my prayer.
I'm
So
glad he
I,
didn't.
in retrospect now, but not while I was going through it. Anyway, so I started mixing with other people, and I was like, if I'm a rise above yourself right now and think of others, you've actually been blessed. Others have not been so blessed. Others are not aware. They don't have the knowledge you've been privy to from childhood, based on the fact that my mom is a nurse and everything. And the love and support I got from my family and my friends and my roommates in university. Wonderful. And of course, from so many people, so many others don't have that buffer. They don't have that cushion to help them. So I'm like, okay, most of what you're thinking is actually the psychological aspect. So I decided, as I formed it, I was like, Ifeoma, you're going to concentrate on the psychological aspect of sickle cell disorder. Preach it. Like, somebody gave me a call at 5:30 in the morning this week and said, oh, one of her friends, please, Ma, I need you to talk to somebody. He's suicidal. A 28-year-old. He was
Oh
thinking of
dear.
taking his life. This is 5:30 in the morning. So I had to go into that. I shared a bit of my experience with him, and he was like, I said, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is the pain? He said, Ma, the pain is 13,
Oh boy.
which is what I was trying to explain to the doctors.
Explain,
That
yes. Yes.
sometimes the pain is not, oh, 10 and that's it. Sometimes it's beyond what you can think. What
Yeah.
you're thinking of is the highest scale. So he got discharged from hospital 2 days ago, but caving in on him. You know, we get such calls. I get such calls. People with such tendencies that just say, "Come, I've had." I mean, for 8 months, he's been in constant pain. Can you imagine that? 8 months, 8 months,
8 months.
every day,
Wow. Okay, so here's what I need to find
every
out.
day for 8 months. So 8 months constantly.
So 8 months of constant pain, and we do need to have a conversation around connectivity. I'm trying to reach the people who are giving us these lousy connections. But But 8 months.
Prof is having problems too.
Yes,
Professor
yes,
Bazuaye is
yes.
having
Professor Bazuaye is
problems too.
having terrible connection problems. But here's the thing:
Yes.
8 months of a lot of pain, and he's living with this constantly. So you can understand when he says, "I can't do this anymore." We don't want him to say, "I
Yeah.
can't do this anymore," because, because that's not where we want to go. But someone
No.
said, how frequently do we have errors in genotype testing? You talked about a situation where your parents had this error uh, when they went to test. One would
Way
think that
back
this
in the
has gotten better,
60s.
but way back in the 60s. But people still have those errors today.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And that's one of the courses we want to take up now. Schema wants to take up. Because there was a time I went to Abuja for something and I had crisis. So I had to be hospitalized at the National Hospital. They told me after 2, 3 weeks, after 2, 3 weeks, I should come back for a follow up. Though I told them I didn't live in Abuja, but what I did was to go to a lab and run some tests that I would send over to them instead of that expense of going. And just for the fun of it, I told the lab, oh, do a genotype screening for me too,
Yeah.
which they did. I went to pick up my result, and there was a very beautiful AA as a result.
Oh no. Oh
So
no.
one lab in D line. So I told
Oh
them, I
my
said,
goodness.
come, unless you tell me which one of you prayed for this miracle to happen, for my genotype to change, you had better explain how you got about this result. They first tried the usual Ogboju and Shakara. Oh, it's not possible. Look, we ran this test.
Can you imagine?
I went home and came back with my genotype results, came with some, what's it called? History, my hospitalization, and all that. And you know what they now told me? Sister, we are very sorry. We didn't have light in our lab, so we sent it to another lab to run the test. When they found out, they couldn't deny or lie about it
What is
anymore.
this? Oh my
It's
goodness.
it's 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 annoying.
Oh
It's
my goodness.
annoying.
And
It's
that, you see,
annoying.
and that could just have happened to a couple getting ready to get married.
Exactly, exactly. So I feel my input is, except one or two labs are held liable and made to pay for such errors, the others would not sit up. Would not
Yes.
sit up. A lawyer once approached me. I don't know. I didn't keep up. I didn't keep in touch with him. He wanted to sue a lab to pay for bone marrow transplant of a child from couples that they gave wrong reading to. Now,
Right.
that is something. That is something. You know, he was going to do it pro bono, but I lost his number when my phone got stolen and all that. So I don't know
Oh
how
dear.
to, I'm just praying that he contacts me soon, because that's a fight that I will take up. Enough,
And that would make a lot
enough,
of sense. I
enough,
think that would be a good
enough.
place to start from.
Anybody that gives wrong reading
Yes.
should be held accountable for it and be sued and made to pay.
Right. Now you're
Yes.
taking me into an arena that I thought we would get into, and I'm hoping we really have to have Prof come on here, because we've
Yeah.
talked about some of the trauma, some of the pain, and we haven't really addressed it even halfway. But
No, we can't finish it.
yes, yes, and we will still. But I want to talk about, and we'll talk about all of the kind of support systems that are available. But now, we've said people are giving us wrong genotype results. We've got to find a way to ensure that this stops to happen. But even in
Yeah.
terms of compelling testing, is there something Schema is doing to get government to compel testing of some sort, so that we're even able to say that every young child who is born in this country gets tested? Is there a way we can work around that?
There are various suggestions, but it's just to get the people to go beyond knowing the term sickle cell disorder. to
Yes.
appreciating what really it is about.
Yes.
If not, you know, this world, people have a way of circumventing laws and everything, but we can only try. We can
Right.
only try. I've heard of I've heard of couples that go do their genotype screening, find out they are not compatible, go and bribe another lab to give them a different result. Oh, yes. And it's out of ignorance. I really believe they have no clue of what sickle cell disorder is all about. Now we've considered to just waiting for things to get back up in the system to kick up again. We want to apply for genotype results to be part of driver's license, just like you
Okay.
have the blood group. So in case of an accident, you cannot treat somebody with sickle cell disorder as if the person doesn't have. In case the
Right.
person is not, conscious enough to tell you
To
that he
tell
or
you.
she has it, because there are certain things that you can. I mean, it's just like when I even had a fracture or rather torn ligament. The orthopedic doctor was like, "Do you have any peculiar conditions you need to tell me before I prescribe this medication?" And I said, "Oh, I have sickle cell disorder." So those things matter. And
Right.
then in terms of going into secondary school and all that, yes, they demand it. But how many schools really enforce it?
That's right.
How many schools really enforce it, especially the public schools? How can they enforce it? Those are the things we need to go into, because we even, like, in March or February, we took our campaign to Christ the King Church,
Right.
primary, kindergarten. Those were our targets. And the questions they were asking these children, the questions they were asking were very interesting, very intriguing.
Wow.
At least, and that's, I mean, we gave them some of our handbooks, our prompt cards, and one of them ran and said, "Ma, ma, ma, in my gift pack, you did not put storybook." He saw it as storybook. All of them
Right.
went back to class and they were going through it. Meanwhile, when we have these awareness campaigns in expensive places like presidential that we pay through our teeth and adults attend, some of them leave those prompt cards on the table and walk away. But these children had interest in it. They were going through it and asking very serious, intense questions, which really made me glad. So imagine that child that was in kindergarten. We take that campaign to him when he's in primary school. We take it to him again when he's in secondary school and maybe university. There's no way that child will not take genotype screening seriously, or will want to
That's
get
right.
married and trivialize the fact that his genotype has to be compatible with that of his intended spouse. Do you understand?
Right.
We just need to keep talking. And I urge everybody that knows, if, no matter how little you know, you can even Google up the rest. Make yourself a genotype ambassador. That's the only way we can reduce. That's the fastest way we can reduce this incident. The least costly way to reduce this incident by talking, sharing
By
with friends.
talking.
Like that, my friend that called me and said, "This, my friend, is about to embark on this." That is a very good thing. If
Yes.
everybody can do that, advise people, then we'll be halfway there. Apart from the laws can be circumvented, but if the awareness goes up more, people will not think of circumventing those laws. Yes, the
Awareness.
laws are
Awareness is
necessary.
key.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let me just say to you that we have Yemi Harry who is joining us on YouTube. Yemi, it's great to have you. Yemi says he's the one who's been in
Yes.
constant pain for over 8 months and he spoke
He's
with
the
you.
one. That's Yemi.
Yes,
Yes. That's
Yemi, you're a
Yemi.
warrior, and we're proud of you. We're proud of the fact
Yes,
that you
that's
spoke out.
Yemi.
And Ifeoma, thank you for the good you're doing. Now, we're still talking about these issues, and this is one real case. People dealing with pain, and this is pain that is way beyond the traditional on a scale of 1 to 10. This is pain that a lot of us can't imagine. how bad the pain is. This is pain that is benumbing, and that leaves you practically shattered. You're dealing with the pain, you're dealing with the mental feeling that you're a problem. You don't want to be seen as a problem. You
As a
think that, oh,
burden.
yeah, so you think you're a burden to family. You love your family and you feel that you're burdening them. You see the pain in your parents' eyes and it totally shatters you. This is the reality of living every day with sickle cell disorder. This is the reality that has forced Ifeoma and many others to say, we've got to do something to stop it. And she says, the fastest way, the cheapest way, the best way is to deal with the matter of awareness creation. And that's what Schema is doing. Now, Ifeoma,
Yeah.
outside this, there have been initiatives that Schema has embarked on where we're trying to get solutions. And one of the things that you've been doing is the matter of transplants. Can you speak to
Yeah.
them to that a bit for a matter? How did you come in touch with Professor Bazuaye? What is this work you're doing with regards to transplant?
Yes. I got in touch with Professor Bazuaye in 2017 when we were looking for a keynote speaker for our June 19th International Sickle Cell Awareness Day, because the theme for that year was bone marrow transplants.
Right.
So one of my younger sisters, Victoria Viator, she told me, oh, that years ago she did this, she did an interview with this guy in Benin and blah, blah, blah. I said, do you still have his contact? She said, yes. So she gave me his number. I called him, and you won't believe that just a few days to the time was when I called him, less than a week. Prof just said, yes, he'll be in Port Harcourt. And then he came, you know, we did the, what's it called? We finished everything that day. He stayed in presidential. So in the evening, a group of us had a meeting with him. And he was like, oh, I like your NGO. I like the seriousness you're putting into it and everything. He's going to adopt our NGO to partner with. Any other
Yes.
person that comes is going to refer them to us. So that made us very, very, very happy to have somebody like that to say, hey, I believe in you. And it
That's right.
actually gingered us up, you know. So as from then on, I'll send him WhatsApp messages, asking a lot of questions and everything. I even had to travel to Benin to have him check all my vitals and so on. It's been a long journey. Then we got this lab, BKLS lab, is a lab based in Germany. They were looking for an NGO to partner with to
Right.
offer HLA typing kits. Now, HLA typing kits are the kits you use in donor matching, like somebody that is
Right.
interested in doing a transplant. You have to go through the family to find out which one of them is a match that they can
Right.
take the stem cell from. And usually this test, maximum, sometimes you might even extend beyond the immediate family. Each
Okay.
test is 150,000 naira. Each
Each
person
one.
that you test,
One
each one,
fifty. Each one.
150,000.
Wow.
Some places, like when Prof did for us before this agreement, he did it for 120,000, highly
Right.
subsidized.
Right.
So we now mail back and forth. They now agree, sign the agreement, and they've sent in the first 3,000 HLA typing kits. And they promise to do that annually for at least
Wow.
4 years before the agreement can be renewed or terminated. So the first batch I took to Professor Bazuaye, and we even had a press conference in the office of the Commissioner for Health. And
Yes.
these kits have been distributed in most of the teaching hospitals across the country. I posted the contacts and everything for anybody that is interested. They can go get themselves tested at no cost at all, free of charge, because we need to use up that 3,000 before this year runs out. Next year, we'll get another batch. So Prof is the one coordinating it. The results are taken to him. He's even the one that helped us because of his colleagues in hematology and all that to spread
Yes.
the kids all over the
Yeah.
country, the north, the west, south, and southeast. We have contacts there. So
This is
that's
wonderful.
for the genotype
And so
screen,
tell
for the
me,
transplant.
this whole issue of a transplant. This is a new solution. Is this, there are people who say, "Oh, great, bravo, Eureka, we have a solution. Why is Ifeoma telling us not to marry who we love? We've got a solution. We can solve it. There's a transplant available." First is one, how easy is it to get the solution? Two is it for everybody? And
Yeah.
three is, what is the success rate?
Oh, Prof has done 9 in a private transplant center, all successful. He did 3 in the Uniben Transplant Center before it was closed down. So we can say a total of 12, all successful. But how easy is it? Cost effective for a half match. That is, if the warrior is going to be transplanted with an AS genes, the cost is different from an AA gene, and I mean DNA, part of the DNA. But the problem here is the age and the affordability. 10 million, 8 million to 10 million depends on the condition of the person. And it's
Right.
not everybody that is eligible for it. Right now, the oldest is done is 19. But by the end of this year, the age limit is going to go up, but not for people like me that are in their 50s yet, you know. But how are you qualified? It also depends
Yes.
on your condition, your own personal condition, not because you have SS genotype, then yes, transplant is for you. What are the complications you have endured over the years?
Oh.
Those are the things, yes, those things come into play too, to know your chances of accepting and all that, for of the this thing grafting. He might not even agree to do it, depends on your condition.
Oh my
So
goodness.
one should not look forward to transplant as a solution and then go into it. Oh, I have
Right.
money, I can afford it, and all that. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. But yes, it is a solution, a permanent solution.
Now, this is a solution, yes, and we're talking 8 to 10 million in a country where, forgive me, but over 70% of us live on less than $1 per day. How is Schema going to be able to help? I see that one of the things Schema is doing is trying to
Yeah.
raise funds for people who can afford it. I know that there's this family where the family has 4 children and all 4 have the sickle cell disorder, all 4 kids. And this
They're not
family
they're not
needs,
4K. Sorry to cut in. They're not 4Ks,
okay,
they are quadruplets. A set of quadruplets.
okay, so yes, well, which is
Yes.
still 4, but I guess, yeah, a set of
Yes.
quadruplets. And these quadruplets were all born with sickle cell disorder. That's where we are. These kids need
Yes.
help. They're from a very poor background. And I think the
Yes.
total to do that is about 80 million. Is that what it is?
No, for them it's 40 million, but there are 4 other children attached. So it's actually for 8 people. But the
Right.
priority is on the quadruplets. There are 11 this year, and their father is just a fridge repairer. You can
Oh my
imagine what,
goodness.
if I think of what I used to go through. I use past tense now because now I'm a bit more aware and everything.
Yes. Yes.
And then you see these children and their parents, when one, and I don't know, this thing, they have multiple births that are identical. I don't know if
My
they're
dear.
psychologically or
Ah,
mentally or morally or whatever connected.
ah,
Once
ah,
one
ah.
falls ill, give it 1 or 2 days, the rest will join her in hospital.
Oh
So
no.
imagine that burden, financial and everything. That's
Must
why
be a
we're
harrowing
making
experience for that family.
very harrowing. 4 in one family, out of 6 children, 4 of them,
Oh
four
dear
of
me.
them. And you see the children now very scared.
Oh,
The mother told me that sometimes they go to the cabinet, go to the cabinet where she keeps their medications to take the painkillers themselves without even
oh
telling her.
no.
That's how scared they are of the pain. The day we did the appeal fund in presidential, one of them had crisis right in the hall there.
Oh my goodness.
She was crying. Luckily, our Schema doctor was around, gave her some injection, but you could hear her wimp. And that wimping is not it's just because she's too overwhelmed with the pain to cry. No energy. She just lay down there with the tears running down her eyes. And I remembered myself. I've been there. Sometimes you can't even cry. You just lie down and just allow the tears and the pain to ravage your body without knowing what to do. Is that horrible and hopeless at that point? you know so I went through that fundraising a very sad person, because I was being haunted by memories. I really was. I was being tormented by memories. It's not easy. We really need to people I've posted some time ago. I posted some time ago, even if everybody gives an instruction to his or her bank um officer, every month
Yes.
pay 500 naira into this account, it will definitely go a long way. It will definitely go a long way. One lady promised us to take care of one of the children, but she had some security scare and everything and had to like
Oh,
leave the states and so on. But we'll soon reconnect with her. I know she actually saw them and felt their pain and all that. But it's all good. But we need to actually do something, even as little as five. If you have more, yes, but 500 naira every month will go a long way. 1,000, 2,000. If you can do more, please do. The transplant account details are being shown here. Is really, really, really a matter of urgency. At least if one of them is relieved, there's one that is much smaller than the others. She's one that is most sickly. Her stomach is
oh
more
dear.
extended.
Oh my
We don't know the
goodness.
complication she has that is making her look different. She's almost nearly half the size of the other three. Meanwhile, they're all quadruplets. That's the one I have. That's the one that actually gives me sleepless nights. If you can start with her, let's remove one from the four. The person to breathe easily.
Wow. You know, I'm listening to you, Ifoma, and I don't know how to express the kind of pain I feel. And if I can feel this, I can imagine you who have lived with it and what you're dealing with. Now, for all of us who are watching, we're talking about the story of people who are living with a real situation here, who live daily with this pain. And Ifoma says we can all chip in something, 500 naira, 1,000 naira, 20,000, 10,000, whatever it is you have and you can give. The account details are being scrolled. Just do something, whatever it is, it will come in handy. But more importantly, help us tell the story. If I'm in specific terms, if I said to you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 10, what can we do as individuals to make your life easier and to address the matter of sickle cell disorder?
To make my life easier is this transplant fund, because it
Wow.
bothers me. It bothers me a lot. I've seen the children, I know them. Number two, some doctors, of course, I'm surviving today because of doctors, but some
Yes.
doctors really need to learn how to listen to people with sickle cell disorder and not feel like when they tell them what works for them and what doesn't work for them, they're challenging their medical certificates. Some of them don't really know. They don't have that. I was on admission once. I have to make this very short. And there was this injection they kept giving me. I noticed after 2 days, because I always ask, please, any warrior that is listening, ask of the name of any medication they give you. So as they brought it on the third day, I'm like, yes, ask, always ask. When they brought it the third, I said, this never really takes away the pain. Please, if you can let the doctor know. It was the nurses that came. Oh, this is what the doctor prescribed. I said, I will take it. But what happens is they give it to me and they start counting the hours from then. Meanwhile, Ifeoma is in pain for the next 4 or 5 hours with nothing they can do. So I just told them, I allowed them to give me the injection. When the doctor came in the evening, he was like, Ifeoma, please, I want to tell you something. Allow my nurses to do their job. Oh boy. I was very angry. Do you know how angry I was? For the first time in that hospital, I needed oxygen. I started
Oh my
hyperventilating.
goodness.
He had to bring in oxygen to give me. I couldn't talk to him. I was that angry. After I was discharged, I sent for him and I told him, I said, I'm telling you this now because I'm a bit calm. First of all, it is my body. Secondly,
Right.
I didn't stop
Right.
your nurses from doing their job. Thirdly, you had no right to even assume that attitude. You had no right. You could have
Right.
at least asked me what transpired between my nurses and you earlier on. And these are nurses that, to tell you there was no ill feeling, they will come in and help me to be massaging the area. I mean, if I'd had any altercations with them, they wouldn't be near me. So there was,
Right.
there was no raised voices, nothing. But that attitude, they need to let go of it. I wasn't telling him how to do his job. I was just telling him the effect of a particular medication on me for him to take
Right.
note and look for alternative or do something. But he saw it as a challenge. There's no warrior that'll start challenging a doctor for what? I took myself to that hospital,
Right.
so they should let go of that and try and understand. They can even go the extra mile because some might not talk. Ask them, this injection, does it work as much as this? Or what do you think? Sometimes such things will help. They will help, you know?
Okay. Okay, so wonderful. Ifeoma, I've been speaking with Ifeoma Ifejika. Ifeoma is a sickle cell warrior. She's also the founder of the Sickle Cell Interactive and Management Association, Schema. Ifeoma has lived with sickle cell for 54 years and counting. We're going to have her on this side for another 50 years plus. She knows this.
Amen.
Oh, yes, she does. She does. We've got work to do. So, yes, she's with us here. And Ifeoma lives with this, but she also is doing something about it. And that's something you're doing, Ifeoma, that challenges me. The fact that you're living with pain and you're saying, I'm not going to let the pain define me. I'm going to do something about it. What is it that made you decide I'm going to do something? I know you talked about why you started Schema, but I'm just wondering that's a perspective to life that some of us need to have. I won't be defined by what's going on. I'm going to reach out and do something about it.
Yeah. It comes with my strongest motivation was prayer, because it's not easy to let go of that mindset, of that crippling thought.
Right.
There was a point in my life that I never shared. I'm sure some of my roommates, if they're watching this, or my friends in school, this will be their first time of hearing it. I lived quite a reckless life, to the point that sometimes, even to read for exam, I was like, what's the point? I might not be alive when the results will come. It was that bad. I lived with that fear of dying every day for a good number of years. So I got prayerful and the revelation started coming and all that. And one day it hit me. Ifeoma, why are you allowing sickle cell to define you? I decided I'm not ever going to tell anybody I am a sickler. I used to, but I read some of my old posts and I use that word. I'll introduce myself as Ifeoma Ifejika that was born with the sickle cell condition, because there's more to me than sickle cell. It's not going to define me.
Absolutely.
It's not going to cripple me from realizing the other aspects of my life, you know? So you see me, I get up, I do things. I'm quite cautious now, though I
Yes.
don't announce it, but sometimes I'll just tell you, look, I can't do this. I won't bother explaining to you why I can't do it. I know where my limit lies. I know when I've reached it and I can't take in anymore. So I'll just say it as it is. But
That's right.
sometimes I might need to explain, but it's not every time. It gets cumbersome just trying to explain. But I'll just appeal to everybody that knows me when I say, I can't do this anymore. Just know that
Yes.
maybe at that point in time, my cup is full. And not necessarily with the physical work involved in what
Yeah.
you're asking me to do, but the mental and emotional.
That's right.
Like I spoke to Yemi. Meanwhile, Yemi, this is my first time of seeing you. You're quite handsome. Okay, we'll chat later.
It's quite
Like
handsome.
after my talk with Yemi, I actually cried. He's hearing this for the first time because he reminded me of where I used to be. So these things have effect on me. You know, yes, I've overcome them, but the scars are still there. And sometimes they resurrect some situations or conditions that you encounter, actually take you back to where you used to be. So you need to rise above it. Yes, I have a full life. I have a daughter. I have many children. I don't have a daughter. I have a lot of children. Everybody knows. I steal people's children without any apologies. I have a lot of godchildren, so many, numerous for me to count. I have this NGO, I have my business, I have so many things I'm doing. What drives me the most is I don't like being idle.
Right.
Idleness brings memories. Like this, idleness is the devil's workshop. You will now start imagining things that are not necessary or don't even exist. So get busy. You get pregnant with an idea, it doesn't fall through, you have that miscarriage. Please get pregnant again. Don't remain, always get pregnant with ideas. Have something you're doing. It keeps you going and it takes your mind away from what you're going through. The pains are there. I ignore it most of the time. In short, they're my constant companions. There was a time the doctor came to give me an injection that's supposed to make me sleep. My friend Priya was with me in the room this year. And she was like, Ifeoma, why are you fighting the sleep? I said, Priya, please allow me. I'm enjoying this feeling of actually lying down here with no pain in my body. So I need to prolong this sleep to enjoy this moment of a pain-free body before I can sleep.
My goodness.
You know, is that bad? So I was actually fighting the sleep. I was actually fighting it,
Ifeoma, you're
but
you know
I eventually
you're
fell
leaving me
asleep.
with goose. Yeah, you're leaving me with
No, no,
goosebumps, and
no, 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 no. I'm
sometimes you don't
smiling.
realize, ah, because you know what was very, I don't know what got me. You're saying, I just wanted to lie there with no pain, no feeling of pain,
Yes,
so that
it's very
this
rare.
is someone saying every day I'm just having pain racking my body, and when there's no pain, I want to just enjoy that. So I
Yes,
keep sleep at bay. Final words, Ifoma. What can each of us do today? We have to come back because we need to deal with what can government do, and we have to bring Professor Bazuaye back because we really
yes, we
need to
will
talk about
another day.
what government
Yes,
needs to do to support institutions to help
yes,
deal with this. Our
yes.
health systems sometimes are so troubling. I wonder if we understand how bad they are. So,
Number
yes,
one, if they can just tell the general hospitals to anybody that has crisis that comes to hospital, you know the long process of seeing a doctor. You wait in line, you go here, you collect card, you
yes,
pay here.
get card,
Please
go
take
and
that
pay, go and,
person to
yes,
ER. Take that person to the emergency room and
that's
please
right.
try to control the pain. Let the person that brought the person in do all the paperwork. Don't keep the person sitting on a bench waiting for his or her turn to see a doctor. That's number one that they can do. Number two, if We can get the first ladies, they have all these pet projects. If they can undertake one transplant a year for the 4 years that they're in office, can you imagine how many people will be relieved?
Huge,
Just
huge.
also one
One
a year.
transplant
If
a
you can,
year
you
per
do
state
more.
is
Yes.
36.
Look for those
36
that
people.
need it most and that can't afford it. Those that are in
Right,
terrible conditions, those that are at risk of organ damage. If they can
right.
just do that, they can use the NGOs in their states to nominate people if they can't get it done in any other way. Just undertake one transplant a year
Uh-huh.
times 36 times 4.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome.
That
While the
would be
NGOs do their
amazing.
bit to raise money. Yes. So those two things, the hospitals, the public hospitals, and this transplant, that will go a long
Right.
way. Yes. And then
Thank
if
you
they can
so much.
establish
Yes.
sickle cell days where they give free medication like they do for HIV and malaria and all those, if they can have sickle cell clinic days, set
Yes.
up camps, especially in the rural areas, the health centers. Talk to them. People like us, our NGOs, we can do it in partnership with the government free of charge. We don't charge. We can go to all the local governments and talk to them about sickle cell. Let the message go in there, not just in the urban areas. Well, these three, among so many, governments can help. Yeah.
Wow, Ifeoma, this is how government can help. For us as individuals, we've talked about how we can help. Let's keep the awareness up. But above all, please, if you have, we will take anything. We will take 100 naira. We'll take anything it is you can give. Please give something to Schema. It's not going to Schema. There are no administrative costs. Everything you give will go towards the transplant.
This is a
Please.
special account for the transplant. It's not schema account. We don't touch
Yes,
it. We
this
don't touch
money
it at
just
all.
goes only
It's
to
a
the
transplant
transplant.
account. Yes.
And
Yes.
we've got children who are waiting, whose parents can't afford it, whose lives are in danger, and you can do something. So rather than sit and feel sorry for somebody who has sickle cell, do something. Take action. I lost my best friend in primary school to sickle cell, and I haven't
Mm,
forgotten. She was
mm.
my best friend, and her name was Daisy, and she was the sweetest human being. Primary school, I haven't forgotten. And if I haven't forgotten that long, can you imagine what her parents might still be going through? So please, take action. Action that can make life easier for the next person. And let's together do something about this. But over and beyond that, don't be like me, who asked my partner his genotype after I got pregnant. Don't be as stupid as I was. I got lucky. Not everybody's going to. So please, don't be like me. Ifeoma, it's been a wonderful evening, very enlightening evening speaking with you. I'm going to admit it's been mixed emotions for me. Um, your strength is inspiring, but some of those stories have hit me in some really deep places. And if I look at the comments here, I think that many people feel the same way. It's been a wonderful evening, guys. It's been Conversations with IB. Let's do it again. 4 p.m. next week on Friday. We will be having another interesting conversation with IB. It's been a great time. Ifeoma, thank you, bunches.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Dean. Thank you so much for always supporting Schema. Thank you. You've been a good sister and a wonderful friend. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll see you on Friday.
All right, dear. Bye, everybody.